So I went ahead and decided to highlight kind of what we have. So this battle's about to get off real quick, so let me just go over what's going on. So I have two Depot Scouts. I turned off fire at will, and you can see I don't see any of this. He doesn't see any of this. So Depot Scouts, Wild Riders, and Eternal Guard. He's got some Gore Herds, some Ungor Raiders on the flanks, and he has two Centaurs. I think they're just regular Centaurs. 3 units of Chaos Warhounds. More herd, surrounded by some spears with Brave Shaman of Beast, Beast and a Gorbel. And I have the Great Eagle, which is one of the best units that no one ever fields, and you'll see why this game. 2 units of Wildwood Rangers, some spears to absorb the charge, and then some Treekin just to help me deal with anything he might have and Durthu. So, battle starts off. And I'm just kind of poking around and just trying to see what my opponent has. So I'm just kind of zimming around. I'm taking the Eagle. The downside of taking the Eagle is that he's really loud. So he tends to, he screeches a lot. But, you know, it is what it is. So I come out there. You can see the way I was moving was just kind of like this. I kept coming in and out, and I was trying to bait off archer shots. So you can see that the Great Eagle took no damage, but I'm already starting to use up some of their ammunition. And I decided, let's just go ahead and force the engagement. So I take my main kind of body and just push it up and in. And what I want to do is have my opponent all pull in here so I can have my ambush force go in. I assumed, and incorrectly, that he had ambush forces over here, but that is not the case at all. So I'm going to fall into his ambush, and then he falls into my ambush. It gets complicated. That's going to be the Facebook status. So as I see him start to move in and start to commit to this battle, I'm going to take my Depot Scouts, and I'm going to commit to that battle as well. So you can see me already starting to get some shots off, and if I get some good connection, I should put a nice beating on them, but it looks like I didn't get too much in there. I'm circling with my Great Eagle, waiting for someone to be alone and afraid in the world, and then I'm going to make my attack. So, meanwhile over here, my opponent has gone ahead and committed. I jumped Pan's Impenetrable Propel, and that's just going to make it so that he's just not going to do that much damage. And I go ahead and pop the Urpla now that we're taking kind of the fight. So, the Gorbel is going to want none of this action, and he's going to end up facing off against the Wildwood Rangers. Meanwhile, over here, you can see that he sent in his, what are these, Warhounds. And then what I like to do, that's why I always leave my Eternal Guard, is one on the side, is he's already committed his orders to the Depot Scouts. And I'm just going to thread them through. And then all of these Warhounds are going to get caught on the Eternal Guard. And then you can see the other ambush I have. The Wildwood Rangers are going to come in and finish off these Warhounds. Meanwhile, over here, I hadn't spotted his Centaur ambush yet, so the Sisters of the Thorn, I went ahead and run them in, because they do have decent melee stats. So 33 attack, 33 defense, versus, say, Centaurs of 24, 26. So they're actually decent melee combatants. It's just the problem is there's low model count, and they don't have the highest damage. I sent in the Great Eagle here, because this is a nice little prime target for him to grab. So let's go ahead and put it back on the fast. So you can see that he's falling straight from my ambush here. His Warhounds got completely worked over, and I'm going to recover over there. Meanwhile, over here, you can see Durthu squaring up against Morherd. And Morherd is going to not want any of this Durthu action. So you can see Morherd's down to half-life after maybe 3 hits from Durthu. The Gorbel is still fighting the Wildwood Rangers and the Spears. And I got the treatment exactly where I want them over here fighting off these Gors. So one thing I did do with the Sisters of the Thorn, and this is a very useful thing, is you pop a Curse of Anarea. So now you have a speed of 55 versus the 85 of the Sisters of the Thorn and 110 of the Great Eagle. So I'm able to get out of a sticky situation over there, and I just pull right on out. So now I'm just gathering my forces and trying to move forward, keeping the spears to help defend the Depot Scouts. And I don't know, I just got overcommitted over here, and I rushed them in. Over here, I just want to show you a little bit of the action. You can see now that that Great Eagle's got on Morherd, he is just going down. He's getting tanked. However, he is going to pull through his own lines and get away. So I guess good play on my opponent there. He's able to get up and pull on through. Meanwhile, over here, these regular Centaurs are going to dumpster my poor Wild Riders. And then my Depot Scouts are just going to be overcommitted, and he is going to pounce on them. So Good play on his part. He takes out my stuff. I am going to catch Goreherd over here, and he pops another Flock of Doom on me. And then over here, you can see my eagle has done one hit on this Great Shaman, or Bray Shaman, or maybe 2 hits, because he's down to about 2/3 of his life, and this Great Eagle is just going to eat him alive. So, Sisters of the Thorn, popping up a Shield of Thorns over here is going to be a nice little clutch play for me. It's going to help reduce the damage. So I'm just trying to alternate between Sisters of the Thorns, Shield of Thorns, and Durthu's Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, which is just keeping me in that fight a little bit longer. So the Great Eagle is able to break off the Great Shaman with the help of Durthu. And now I'm going to take the Great Eagle and just chase down this Bray Shaman as some of my troops rally. I'm taking the Sisters of the Thorn over here and running off the Gorbull because I don't want him coming back. And at this point, I decide that I saw that he's shattered, and I just decide to rally. My opponent has finished off the last of my Deploy Scouts, which is unfortunate for me. So I just have to help with the best. My Great Eagle is just going to run this Bray Shaman off, and you can see my opponent is now just doing a running battle, and this balance of power is starting to go a little bit in my favor, but he's still able to come right back from this because he has all of this. He has a very healthy Harpy squad and Centaurs over here, so he'll be able to come back and kind of push. You can hear my Great Eagle screeching over there, still doing its work. Durthu and the gang are just going to town, just routing off these Gors, and he's really not able to do too much. You can see my opponent just taking the regeneration ability of Morher, just trying to get as much health back as possible, and I'm just trying to catch him. So he's just doing a delaying tactic and just kind of feeding things into the fire as he just works me down. Over here on the far side, I thought my opponent was coming in to save his Bray Shaman, but he wasn't, so I just left the Great Eagle on there, which is a great trade. If the Great Eagle kills only one model assist, the Great Eagle has paid for itself because he's only 900 versus a typical Bray Shaman with 2 or only 1 spell. So I don't know, maybe he's only about 600 points. So I take that back. All right, let's go back over here to the running battle. You can see that Durthu and the gang are still kind of pound their way through. My opponent does summon some Chaos Spawn in the back here, who's going to just start coming in. He's going to get some rear charges, which is pretty good on his part. No real cinematic charges because my units are mostly large. However, the Treekin with their 80 armor and 54 defense are going to trade pretty well with these Centaurs who don't have that much armor piercing. What is their armor piercing? Let's see if we can get in there. Centaurs, armor piercing, only 32, and I am able to pop another Shield of Thorns, which is going to help me even more to get past all of his defenses. So some good play here. He is able to finally rout me off. And you see the balance of power starting to shift back towards the middle here. And he's able to get some play. I do fire off another shot of, I can't remember what his ability is called. Anyways, it's not important. I shoot off his ability, trying to get more hurt. But he's able to rout off my Wallow Rangers, and they're shattered from the field, and they're just going to be off forever. I am trying to harass down his Raiders because he has a fair amount of life in the late game. It is going to be useful. And then over here you can see I'm trying to decide the next target for my Great Eagle, and you're going to watch this. The Great Eagle does not give a shit about no Harpy. So the Great Eagle just decides this. Let's just walk right on by these Harpies, just push them out of the way and find a nice target. My opponent, meanwhile, is trying to just take down Durthu because the only thing he can really catch is Durthu. I send the Eternal Guard over here with the Sisters of the Thorn to try to take down Morher. But one thing I did forget is I'm down to less than 20% life. And if you're familiar with what Morher does, you're going to go ahead and see what happens to units that are a little too low on life. And I no longer have Sisters of the Thorn. So balance of power is starting to win a little bit in his favor, still kind of in the middle. We're still working it. Meanwhile, these Harpies tried to take on the Great Eagle, and it just beat the shit out of them. So it worked out for me. And then over here, the Branch Rays up to 78 kills, still tanking it, still doing a pretty good job fighting off these Centaurs. And the only thing it really has going for it is that 55 melee attack. So it's holding up. Now that I see he's committing all his Warhounds to the fight over Durthu, and you can see the Great Eagle, one attack, dropped 4, dropped another 3 Harpies. It's broken off one group of Harpies, killed 2 more. And now that I see that more herd of the Shadow Graves alone and afraid in the world, I'm going to take that Great Eagle and I'm going to run him down to take out more herd. And you can see the balance of power is still starting to shift in his favor. Not too much I can do. So I send in the Great Eagle. It lands. Let's check out more herd's health. So more herd's at 500 or 600 health. I get into attack. One attack drops him by 400 down to 200 health. And he's about to get another big hit. The Great Eagle still at 1300. The Great Eagle takes him down. I see them coming in, but with my 110 movement speed, you see the Great Eagle is just going to get up and just take off. So I'm just don't even have to worry about these Centaurs. He tries to come in, and it is too late. Meanwhile, over here, he has some in the last of the Chaos Spawn. I'm going to take Durthu and the Branch Wraith, and I'm just going to keep on running away. Just keep moving away and let them disintegrate without trying to prevent them from getting any hits in. A few of my units have rallied. I'm trying to get them together just to form up a last pocket of defense. And then you're going to see that I'm going to use the Great Eagle to try to pick off any targets that are weak. But I see the Centaurs coming in. So the Centaurs are at how much life here? Let's take a little look. So they're at 2332. The Great Eagle is going to come down in here and get a little charge in. I used them to finish off one group of Centaurs. And then I'm going to turn them around and use it to get this group. So once again, he comes down to charge Durthu. They're at 2,300 life. The rest of his forces are trying to rally, trying to come to his aid. Durthu's putting a smackdown on it. Nothing else really to say. What spell am I casting there? It must have been, what is that? Oh, I put the Page Impenetrable Pelt again. So it's just to kind of keep Durthu alive, because Durthu is down to 700 hit points. The Great Eagle's down to 1,000. Tree Cannon not doing so well, but the Branch Wraith is still holding up with 101 kills. That Branch Wraith is just eating any light armored troops alive, so doing pretty good. Finally got off those Chaos Spawn. At this point, everything's just kind of going in my favor, and I think it's going to be a little too late. These Ungors are not going to want any of this action, and that's going to be all she wrote. So at this point, but the fear of the Great Eagle and the terror of Durthu is going to be too much for the leadership of the Beastmen, and that's going to be it. So let's see how we did there. All right, let's start with my side. So some pretty clutch plays with the Great Eagle. Took off more herd from the battlefield. Took off that Brave Shaman from the battlefield. So some good plays. Got 68 kills of other things. So pretty good. These Walkwood Rangers racked up 112 kills plus a Chevron, and 54 from the other one. There might have been the one that was fighting the Gore Bull, but it's hard for us to tell. And the Branch Wraith, 107 kills. So great performance out of there. And then the only thing that's not really performing as well as they could is the Deep Scouts, and that's because I mismanaged them. On my opponent's side, the Centaurs actually ended up doing pretty well, and kind of a mixed performance out of the Gore herds, but he didn't really have anything to do with the Tree King. I would have liked to see him have maybe dropped one Hound and one Gore herd, and that would have gave him enough to bring one Bestigor unit, and that Bestigor unit would have dumpstered the Tree King and would have actually put some hurt onto Durthu as well. And they would have done, I don't know, they would have traded okay with the Wildwood Rangers. All right, so let's jump into game 2, where we try to see some of the other plays with the Sisters of the Thorn. Bye. All right, welcome back to this game. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit because, I don't know, there's going to be a little bit of skirmishing in the beginning, a little bit of walking. So my army, 3 Treepkins, Durthu, 2 units of just Gladeguard with shields, because they have a fairly high defense, 44. So they're going to be able to stand and bang and deal with any large creatures he has. I have the Branch Wraith Earthblood and then the Eternal Guard. 2 Deepwood Scouts is in the back, and then I have kind of my fallback to keep, what am I thinking, bats and Dire Packs away. Just some War Dancers with Azurite Spears, and then I have some Wild Riders and Sisters of the Thorn. And my opponent has a very unorthodox army. He has 2 ghouls hanging in the flanks, Skeleton Spears, the Sternsmen, some the Feasters of the Dust, or Feasters in the Dust, the Dire Pack, some Varix Reavers, always a good choice, 3 units of Fellbats, some Varguys, which is not what I was expecting, and Manfred. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, I guess, what's going to happen here. So let's just go ahead and hit play. And then I see that these Crypt Ghouls are alone and afraid in the world. So let's see. They are at 47 health, and we're going to get a nice little impact here as we just kind of ride them down. And Wild Riders are one of my love-hate units. When I use them correctly, they're like my favorite unit. When they get stuck fighting Reichsguard or Dimmies, I hate them and ask question why did I ever bring them. So, and we'll go ahead and hit back play. So I'm not worried about anything he has catching up to me. I go ahead in there, get some free hits, and fall back without taking any real damage. My opponent's just committing to this frontline battle over here, and I have no real reason to engage. I have no real reason to maneuver, so I'm just going to stay here. Because everything I have is, my flank is heavy on this side, and then his flank is heavy on this side. So I see no reason to move, and this is kind of where I want to engage. So I'm going to send the Wild Riders in here again, and they're going to just kind of dumpster down these poor little Crypt Ghouls. This is not the engagement they're going to want to have. You can see they're already up to 27 kills, and that unit's just getting demolished by the Wild Riders. I overextended, I think, a little bit with my Azerite Spears, just to try to finish them off. My thinking was that the ghouls were already crumbling, so why not just finish them off for good? So now I have my Deepwood Scouts in position, falling back. He starts to send these Fellbats in there, but I'm going to intercept them with my Wild Riders. Oh, meanwhile, over here, you can see my opponent's getting the Varix Reavers, trying to follow them into combat, trying to take them out, but I have all my spears saturated. I'm going to turn them around and just get on these Varix Reavers. And you can see the Treekin really working down his front line. So that saturation of heavy armor and anti-large is really going to start working it. Let's move back a little bit here. So you can see this is the exact thing I want my Sisters of the Thorn for, because my Sisters of the Thorn are using their Shield of Thorns just to keep everything back and keep them survive. Looks like my sound's starting to go in a little bit in this one. So let's just dump it down. All right, and let's resume. So that's giving me that extra 22% resistance. And after that goes out, I believe I'm going to dump another Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, which is just going to keep my troops in that fight even longer. So I've managed to round off his bats and his ghouls, and now I'm just trying to set up positions for rear charges. I have all my Deepwood Scouts, and what I'm trying to do is pick off all his Vargheists, because Vargheists have very low armor. I don't believe they have any. No, maybe they have 30. Anyways, right now I use this Sword of Dareth, which is going to give them 0. So I'm just going to, all my shots are going to be pretty much on the money. Anytime I don't have a good target, I'll just switch over here to Manfred. And you can see Manfred is not going to want really any of that action. I use the Curse of Anarir just to try to keep him pinned and down. And then my opponent wisely takes his Dire Pack to try to rout off my Sisters of the Thorn and Deepwood Scouts. But I'm going to go ahead and send the War Dancers and the, what is it called, Wild Riders, just to intercept and hold them down. Now my Wild Riders don't want to be fighting the Varix Reavers with their 110 armor, so I'm going to have to pull them back and get them out of there. Still a pretty tight fight. It can go either way at this point, but I don't know. It's definitely getting a little clutch here. So we're both kind of Death Starring. I'm just Earth Blooding myself. He just keeps imitating him the heck over here. You can see I'm finally able to pull my Wild Riders out of there, and the War Dancers are starting to go to town on the Varix Reavers. So no real chance he's going to have. Some of my routing units are coming back, and I'm going to keep on pushing here. And meanwhile, Manfred's just using Masters of Dark Arts to help kind of get him going. And then you can see once again another use of the Shield of Thorn. So I'd have another 22% weapon resistance, and that's just going to really help. Like someone like Durthu who already has it, or the Treekin. Let's look at the Treekin. So Treekin are at, should be about 44% now. Oh no, it's just 20. So 22 plus that. I thought they already had some, so we'll have to check that out. All right. So this group doesn't have it over here. So let's check on this group. So this group has 22. So maybe it just adds separately. It looks like it just adds separately. So my opponent finally sees the danger of these Deepwood Scouts, who still have a fair amount of ammunition left. I'm running the Spears and the Wild Riders just to try to keep these bats off, because even though I just need to keep them online fire. I'm pretty sure the Deepwood Scouts could kill off these Fellbats, but I just need to keep shots firing into the blob that he has over here. And Durthu starting to look pretty rugged. Definitely say so. Durthu's about to go down, so I pop one last Flock of Doom right before it looks like Manfred's going to be able to take him down, because the only armor piercing my opponent had is Manfred on the Zombie Dragon. Manfred has a fair amount. Let's see, he has, well, it looks like he got poisoned. So even with poison, he's down to he has 230 life. But Durthu does go down, so it's still back and forth, still going. And now he wisely decides to take out this engagement and start picking on my Sisters of the Thorn. I realize that I'm going to need that poison. I'm going to need their buffs for later in the game. So I'm just going to focus fire everything I have on these Var guys. And they're, with their 10 armor, are just going to get shredded by those multi-shots. And they're just not going to have any hope. And their speed is reduced down to 70 to the 85 of the Sisters of the Thorn because of the poison. Meanwhile, over here, it's just kind of an atrocious fight. I'm really hoping that the Treekin and this last group of War Dancers can kind of hold up and hold tight. Manfred's just menacing and flying up and around as I try to rally what troops I do have left. However, you can see there's only about 50 seconds left on the clock, and it's going to start to go into my favor. Once again, popping the Thorn of Shields into anything. So I think the Sisters of the Thorn are great for kind of a Death Star kind of build, because you're able just to pop that Shield of Thorns on there, and they're poison anytime you're able to just to hit. That poison gets in there and reduces the enemy's movement and abilities. And you can see Manfred going down here. So last poor Manfred, we knew you well. So if you, like I said, in that Death Star situation, you can pop the Shield of Thorns. That's going to help your guys resist that fight. And then you can just use the Sisters of Thorn, who do have a poison attack, just to debuff. So the Sisters of Thorn, don't look at them as how many kills they can get, but how many kills they prevent the opponent from having. Because you're able just to poison them down, and you're able to boost up your troops. So let's take a quick look at my opponents. You can see even with his high damage, he wasn't really able to get any work done, because I had a decent amount of armor, and I had the natural physical resistance, and I kept popping that Shield of Thorns. Even something like the Stearnsman should have done a great job versus the Eternal Guard. You can see over here my Deepwood Scouts getting a lot of chevrons, but not necessarily a lot of kills, because they were focused mainly on what? Varguys and Manfred, and then Durthu racking up with the 71. Well, I hope you guys had a good time, and maybe those give you some thoughts on how to use Sisters of the